Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And a bunch of you saw this coming because several of you have awared me that Alpha M, who I do troll a little bit, he does have it coming. You can't be obsessed with your aesthetics and wear earrings and call yourself Alpha and not catch a little bit of flack. So he made a video discussing the 10 things that guys get wrong in the gym. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing. Work on skill at my crafting a little bit and let's talk about this. And I think he and I are like the same age, aren't we? I turned 42 this week. He's in his early 40s. But you know, before I jump into all this, because he and I come from different viewpoints, I am a strength athlete. I am a power lifter. I do believe in strength, and he comes from a bodybuilding background. We kind of come from different worlds. But I do want to say, out of his 10, there were 3 of those that I actually agree with. There's some of them that I thought were horrifically bad. Like his first 3 were terrible. He flat got them wrong. He clearly doesn't even know the research from guys, even from his own website. If he goes to bodybuilding.com and look at the top experts, the PhDs who post there who are into his stuff, they would disagree with him. He got stuff wrong. But he got 3 things dead right, and I'm going to back him on those 3. Before I get into criticism of other stuff, I do want to say what he got right. His number 10, not being in the gym at all. Yeah, well, except for me, I train at home. I have 900 pounds of road plates and 3 barbells at home. But outside of that, not being in the gym, yeah, that's true. I agree with him on that one. And you know, he did make the statement at the intro, basically mirroring that, saying getting in the gym is the best thing you can possibly do. I will support that, brother. I might not like everything you have to say. I might not like a lot of what you said in this video, but I think we all agree on that one. Weight training is probably one of the single best things you can do for your health, your quality of life, your well-being, your confidence, everything. Weight training is critical for health and everything else. Everybody needs to be doing it. So I will applaud him for that. All right, before we get into any criticism, I want to applaud the man for that because I think we all agree on that. We all agree on that. Other 2 things he said, talking about training your legs. Well, as a guy who squats every time I train, I agree with that. Now, he did do some silly little lunges at first, which I don't really consider to be leg training. But I would agree, not training your legs or taking them as seriously as your upper body is a big mistake. I mean, let's not just talk about you guys with your aesthetic stuff. Let's talk about health. Look at the research. Leg training is more important for your longevity and health than your upper body training is. Your leg training is going to matter more in sports. It's going to matter more in life and death scenarios. Your squats and deadlifts and things like that are critically important for everything other than your show muscles looking in the mirror trying to look pretty. All right? They are critical. At least half your training time needs to be dedicated to the bottom half of your body. If not, then again, you're really wasting a lot of time on nonsense. But he reiterated that too, and I actually appreciate that from one of the guys who were chatting about the whole aesthetics thing. We agree. We agree on this. Lower body training is critical. Another one he said, not doing dips. Damn, I'm going to kind of agree with that one too. Dips are a fantastic exercise. So there's a take home for you guys listening. You have a guy who's obsessed with the whole aesthetics thing and bodybuilding thing saying, hey, dips are one of the best exercises you can possibly do. And you got me, a strength athlete. I only care about big numbers, being maximum jactitude and being strong as hell. That's what I care about. And I'm telling you, weighted dips are one of the top 10 exercises ever invented. We agree on this, so that should tell you guys, you should probably consider doing this exercise. We're all in agreement there, right? Be in the gym, train your legs, do weighted dips. We all see eye to eye on that. I don't think there's going to be any disagreements there. Fantastic advice. Now we get to the bullshit. The curl thing. Talking about don't come all the way up, right? Don't come all the way up. Now, I'm going to disagree whether you even need curls or not. But let's assume you're going to do curls. Okay, let's assume you insist on doing curls. Because I will never convince anybody not to do curls. I can't convince 18-year-old competitive powerlifters not to do curls. If you're going to do curls, all right, this whole continual tension thing, go look at any of the experts. Look at any of the experts in the field of kinesiology, exercise science, any of that, who have advanced degrees, who study this stuff, who care about bodybuilding. They all say continual tension is bullshit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect growth at all. One of the functions of the bicep is this movement right here, right? We all know it does this, right? We know it bends the elbow. this one of the heads of the bicep, the way it inserts, actually doesn't get completely contracted unless you actually have the shoulder movement. So if you're not doing really heavy weighted chin-ups and pull-ups and things like that that include that movement, which actually stimulate the bicep better than most curls on the research, hint, hint, you should be doing weighted chin-ups or pull-ups is what I'm saying, that you probably do need to actually have that action. There is actually something to it. Now, does that mean you need to be using it to cheat necessarily? Not necessarily. You shouldn't be using it to try to cheat weight up, but I mean, you're going to find tons of guys who have massive biceps who do that movement, who don't do the other at all. So it really is tit for tat. And he threw that as number one, which is, come on, this is not based on research. It's not based on human physiology or anything else. You know why Alpha M has decent biceps? Because he's been training them for years and years. If you train a muscle, it's going to grow, even if you don't get the training perfect, right? But so he is basically throwing out something that isn't supported by human biomechanics, by physiology, anything else. That's not true. Continual tension doesn't matter, and that actually does work the bicep. It works another function of the bicep. Again, it's a lesser function, but it is one of the functions of the muscle. It is still actually training it. So you've got that. Then he threw in crap about leg raises as one of them and push-ups. No one cares. If you're serious about training, if you're really trying to achieve maximum jactitude, you don't do these silly-ass exercises. Guys are like, well, what about my core? Hey, I'm not saying a little bit of ab work's a bad idea, but let's be realistic here. You get your squat up to 400, you get your deadlift up to 500, your standing press up to 200, I don't know, your front squat up to 300, right? These are basic strength guidelines. We're going to get to that one in a minute too. Your core is going to be pretty well developed. You're going to have a good core. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a strong core, but these big standing exercises actually do a lot for your core. Now, if you want to do some extra core work, by all means, but I don't think these leg raises are really anything I'd recommend. Like standing band crunches, standing cable crunches, that stuff, weighted planks, those are all awesome. But they may not even be necessary. Put your focus on the big movements. Coming back to that training the legs, if you train your legs correctly, hint, hint, squats, deadlifts, things like that, your core is going to be pretty well developed. It's going to be pretty well developed from that alone. Not saying you can't use a little bit more, but that's going to build the base of your core. These silly-ass leg raises are a waste of time. Just because someone did them and they have abs doesn't mean that that's why they have abs, okay? You need to put that in perspective. It's like saying, hey, I prayed to Zorgon, the turtle at the bottom of Lake Somerville, for abs, and I have abs now. That must be what did it. Not necessarily the case. Just because you chose to do that doesn't mean that's why. Correlation does not equal causation. And these silly-ass leg raises are a waste of time in general. Push-ups are a waste of time in general. Go do the weighted dips. Dips are a better exercise than push-ups. Why in the hell are you wasting time with push-ups if you have access to dip bars? Go back to his other one about dips. Ignore the push-ups. The fat burners, complete bullshit. The 2 fat burners he listed, not supported by the scientific literature. They're not his secret to getting shredded. He got shredded because he tracked his food and his energy intake. He was in a caloric deficit. Maybe used some pharmaceutical help. I don't know what he did or didn't use, but he got shredded because he lifted weights, ate plenty of protein, burned more calories than he ate. The other one, needing fast absorbing protein. No, not necessary. I'm not saying I don't use some protein powder, but is it necessary? No, it's not even a big deal. Quite frankly, if you're getting plenty of protein from other whole foods, and you like the whole foods you're eating, protein shakes are a convenience. They don't have any magical muscle building properties that normal foods don't have. There's nothing special about it. You're not going to gain a single ounce of additional muscle because you choose to drink a whey protein shake post-workout versus eating some chicken or a steak. Okay, you're not going to see a difference. That is supplement mumbo jumbo bullshit. And I'm not saying protein shakes don't have their uses. I use them myself from time to time. But they're not magical. They're not special. Fasted cardio. Guys on tons of gear do a lot of fasted cardio. Not saying I've never done fasted cardio, even as a strength athlete. Not supported by the research. Go look again. Go look at bodybuilding.com where he keeps promoting their bullshit site. Look at what Dr. Brad Schoenfeld says about it. Look what Dr. Elaine Norton says about it. These 2 people have both debunked fasted cardio. The research actually shows fasted cardio, you end up burning slightly less overall fat than if you did the same amount of cardio after eating. It's not really supported by the research. And I'm not even against intermittent fasting, by the way, guys. Hell, I did my lifting fasted today while I'm cutting. But the point is, fasting has to do with calorie management. It has to do with diet adherence. Nothing to do with anything magical. Plenty of people have gotten ripped without doing fasted cardio. Plenty of people have. It has nothing to do with it. It's, again, one of those myths that has been debunked by the research. Now, the big one is talking about lifting too heavy. Now, if you're talking about lifting heavy or lifting super heavy, because you said two different things. I agree, you guys shouldn't lift too heavy. But what's too heavy for you may not be too heavy for me. What's too heavy for you might be a really lightweight for 10 reps. Now, what he said about you shouldn't have to lift super heavy and you shouldn't have to reduce range of motion, I agree on range of motion. You should not trim range of motion down to lift a heavier weight unless you are in a competitive environment that allows you to do so. You will gain less muscle and less strength by doing partial reps. That is true. But to say you shouldn't be lifting super heavy, that it doesn't matter what you can lift, it matters if you look how much it looks like you can lift, that only applies with drugs, my friend. All the research that's been emerging over and over the last decade shows that you cannot, inside of an individual, you cannot separate size and strength. You cannot separate them. There's an enormous correlation between the amount of muscle mass on your body and the amount of weight that you can lift on the big exercises. How much you can squat, how much you can bench press, how much you can standing press. This all matters. That is directly tied to your muscle mass versus your height, the size of your frame, all these other variables. This is directly linked to it. Mass moves mass. And I preach the exact opposite. I tell you kids out there, if you want to reach maximum levels of jactitude for a drug-free lifter, because we know the research shows that without drugs in the equation, your size and your strength cannot be fully separated. You cannot. What I always tell people is that when shooting for baseline strength, goals you should be trying to reach as a natty, I don't care what you want to compete in or what your overall goals are, if you are trying to get big, you need to be shooting for a 500 deadlift, a 400 squat, 300 bench, 200 overhead press, and a 100-pound weighted chin-up or pull-up, right? That's what you need to be shooting for. That if you reach those goals, you will have a pretty reasonable level of size and jactitude, right? Overall, through your entire body. I'm not saying everything's going to be perfectly proportioned the way that you might want it, but you're going to have one hell of a base built. And that's actually what you should be shooting for. I'm going to disagree with that. I think you should be lifting super heavy. I think you should be lifting the heaviest weights that you can manage for a given number of reps, whether it's 1, 5, 8, whatever you're working with. You should be lifting the heaviest weights you can possibly lift with good form for full range of motion for your target number of reps on these big exercises, and that you need to be working on continually increasing that, because progressive overload is everything for size without drugs. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.